Oh my goodness. I've been really looking forward to this morning. As it happens, when you start to think of something, as we so often teach here, it responds to that contemplation and shows up in spades. So our topic this morning is called Looking Up. And I want to just back up a little bit and give some context to that. For starters, our January theme, so that would be all month long, including today, has been Timeless Wisdom, an introduction to the science of mind and spirit. Today's topic, Looking Up, I've added a little bit too, by saying that it is also about lifting our lives by lifting our eyes. And that would be to lift up our spiritual sight in order to welcome more of what is possible and awaits our recognition. There are a few different sources for inspiration this morning for this topic. One is that this is part of the Centers for Spiritual Living Global Theme Project, and that would be called Looking Above. Also, a quote in this, I'm going to hold it up so you can see it. It's a CSL 2021 spiritual journal. Not too late to get one because we're just about to start the second month of 12. What the heck? And in it, there's a quote I want to read to you. It says, by looking up, by raising our eyes above our limited horizon, we are more likely to perceive the blessings hidden in affliction. And that is from David Steindl-Rast. Also, there is an article in this month's Science of Mind magazine, which is part of what I'll be talking about today. It's called Living Up to This Moment. And that is by Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings. I believe he's in Austin, Texas. So those are a few of the sources of inspiration for this morning, as well as another thing, which is that we have been, for the past 4 weeks, studying the basic principles of the science of mind and spirit. What better opportunity to put them all into practice than today with our topic, Looking Up. Now, part of where that topic comes from is that when we look out the window and we look at the news and we look at our to-do list, we look around in our lives, it doesn't look like very much like up. So let's talk about how we shift that so that we can have a different experience. Just to recapitulate or recap for short, for those of you who are new to our teaching or new to our program, this is what we have learned over the past 4 weeks. We have learned that we are surrounded by and immersed in an all-knowing, all-loving, all-animating intelligence, love, substance, energy, which is all and has all. You can call it God, Spirit, Creator, the I Am Principle, the All That Is, or whatever works for you. And we are made by it, one with it and surrounded by it. It gives to us according to our belief. Bam, that's the big part. If we're not sure what we've been believing, we just look around. Look at your life. Look at how your days unfold. Look at how you're feeling. That is always a reflection of what you have been believing. The thing is, sometimes we don't realize that until the evidence shows up. So beliefs start as thoughts, feelings, emotions, words, deeds, experiences, and the impressions that they make upon us based upon our perspectives. We can create new beliefs because we can shift our perspectives. We can shift what we think about, the feelings and the emotions which follow, the words that come out of our mouths, the things we do or not do, where we direct our attention. We have all of these opportunities to be self-aware and to choose and to shift what we're experiencing by shifting what we focus on and ultimately say that we believe. So we can create new beliefs. The simplest way to talk about this is to say that if we've decided we're done with radishes and we'd rather have potatoes, then we pull up the radishes, we till the soil, we plant potatoes, and potatoes are what we will get. It's that simple. We don't have to really be a rocket scientist. We just decide what it is that we do wish to experience, and we plant that instead. And the law, which we equate with the fertile soil, will bring forth that which we have planted. Yes, this is a teaching that is Christian in origin, and not just that. It is ancient wisdom. It is new thought. It is new science. It is universally true. So whatever way you access that, it doesn't matter as much as it matters that you get. It's as simple as planting seeds. What do we do when we plant a garden? We plant those seeds, we tamp them down in healthy soil, we give them adequate light and water, and then we trust and walk away. That is part of what we do here with our mental healing. So we have a handy formula for it, and many of you know this really well. First, we recognize that God is all there is. Second, we unify with God. We recognize that we are one with God, meaning that we are children of the Most High. We are offspring. We're made by God, of God's stuff, in God's image and likeness, whatever verbiage works for you. Third, we realize or affirm that which we desire to experience. That is our willingness to state, to declare, and to claim what we cannot see yet. That is a statement of trust and faith, just like that seed that we planted that isn't going to show up as the potatoes that we've chosen for a little while. But we plant it, and we believe it, and we trust in it, and we know it. Then, fourth, we have an expression of gratitude, thanksgiving, not just for any old thing, thanksgiving for that thing. We know we have acknowledged the presence of the infinite, our oneness with it, our origin in it. We have acknowledged that we planted potatoes and we took the action believing, and now we let it go. We walk away from our little garden plot and we trust that the soil will do the rest, right? And we also act as if we don't get in the way of that. We don't expose what we have planted to something that's going to interrupt that process. And then we let it go. That is the ultimate. We let go. We really let go. So that's our formula. It's 5 steps. It's what we do with our mental healing. You can call it scientific mental practice, Christian mental healing. You can call it affirmative prayer. You can call it nothing at all. But that's what we do. So here's what we also do to ensure that our prayer is effective. Just like I said, your gratitude should be specific to the thing that you are affirming, so should the whole prayer. And the way that we do that is first, we identify a purpose. Now, Jesse James, in his article in the magazine, talks about that in his article called Living Up to This Moment. He talks about how we teach this. So he says, identify what's wrong. Yes, actually pause and say, what's wrong? We turn away from conditions, but not until we know what they are, because otherwise we wouldn't know which way to turn. What's wrong? Okay, and what would right look like? What are the uncomfortable feelings? And what would the wonderful feelings look like? And then we have this little list. Well, here's what right would look like. And here's what the good feelings about that would look like. And we call that our purpose. So we use those things as our statement of purpose. For example, things in the world are really difficult, and I feel pain about that. What's the purpose? I know that things in the world are good, so they can be good for me and us. And I feel good about that. So whatever it is, you identify the opposite of the problem, the opposite of the bad feelings, and that becomes your purpose for your affirmative prayer so that it's effective, right? You want to make sure that you're using the right stuff to aim at the thing that you desire to heal. So it's good to know what you're looking at. Okay, so then we plug it into our formula. Okay, we plug it into that formula, which we're going to do in a minute, and we use those qualities to write the whole thing. Here is the sample situation that we are going to use in our practice today, and then we're going to talk about it in a few minutes. From Dr. Jennings' article, he starts out with this. He says, He says, people tell you, don't worry, it could be worse, or things are never as bad as they seem, right? Well, guess what? He says, things are not as bad as they seem. In fact, they're much worse. And in that, I find rekindled hope and renewed faith, because problems point to their solutions. This is a gem of metaphysical practice. Every problem points to its solution. Everything in nature has its antidote within 3 feet of it. Okay? He goes on to say, now I'm not a young person and I've never seen things this bad, which, as I said, gives me hope. Multiple wrongs are presenting themselves to be healed, happening now, not in some past or future scenario, and right here, not somewhere else. This means that we are the ones to heal them, and we are equipped to do so. So if we are going to plug and play our purpose and affirmative prayer into this formula that we've been talking about, which is the application of the science of mind and spirit, then it might look something like this. We'll identify the wrongs and their opposites to affirm. Identify the bad or uncomfortable feelings and those opposites to declare. We'll sum them up in this collection of good things and feelings as a purpose statement, which means that when we're done, and this prayer does what it does, just like the seed does what it does in the soil, we will have this outcome that we know in our guts is possible, and we can't see it right now. Otherwise, why would we pray? Then we use our 5-step affirmative prayer formula. God is all there is. I am one with God. Therefore, I know that I now experience. I give thanks. I release my word. And so it is. Here's an example of what that might sound like. God is all there is, including oneness, equality, harmony, peace, wholeness, well-being, and joy. And I and we are all one with God, part of all of this. Therefore, I know that I and we now experience oneness, equality, harmony, peace, wholeness, well-being, and joy. I give thanks that this is so, rejoicing for myself and all of humanity. I release my word, knowing that it is acted upon by the law and returns to me and all of us fulfilled. I let it go, and so it is. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, cheers to that, right? So then we walk away. Now, we don't walk away and just go sit on the couch and watch Netflix and wait for the world to change, do we? We talked about this last week, right? We know this. Faith without works is dead. We get to cooperate. We get to act accordingly. I know the scientists in our group will confirm this, but we've set something in motion and it will stay in motion unless it is acted upon by an outside force. Let that not be me. If I just found a way to believe that God is good and we are all one with God, and therefore I know that the goodness in us rises up and shows up as each of us, and for that I am so grateful and thankful, and I let it go, and then I walk across the room and gossip or criticize someone, I interrupted it. And I planted the other thing that I said I don't want anymore. You see? We have an opportunity because we are here to be part of this healing, and it requires that we utilize our response ability to create consciously. Okay. Now, one of the other things that Jesse James says in this article in the magazine is, this is not a spiritual bypass. We don't just kind of do the old bewitched thing, and say, it's all good. We also, he says, are not doing a spiritual reset. And he gives examples of that in the article. Like, oh yeah, during COVID, I learned Chinese and I painted my garage, and the kids learned a second language too, and I cleaned out my sock drawer. No, this is bigger than that. He says this is a spiritual make ready. Here's some more things that he says in closing this article. Jennings says, we long for a better world, and this is the world we inherited. It could all change tomorrow for the better, but will we? He ends with a call to action from Isaiah 55:12, which is inscribed in the chapel at Asilomar. It's this place in California where we had our annual meetings forever, summer retreats forever. And these beautiful words, I just love this. You will go out in joy and be led forth in peace. The mountains and the hills will burst into song before you, and all of the trees will clap their hands. Isn't that exquisite? He says, this is a promise of things to come, a call to search one's heart so those good things have a place to land. Because all of this good is created by means of us, through us. So let us live up to the moment, a tangible reality of equality and heartfelt solidarity unseen before in human history is unfolding around us, inviting us in. Go out in joy, be led forth in peace. And so we have indeed got a lot going on around us. I remember when I was about 28, I went to Voc Rehab and I asked them to help me change my career because I was working in a job with incredibly long hours that never let me be in one place for more than a little while. And I was always on call, always at someone's else's beck and call. I could never stay still and do anything of my choosing. That was a mess. And the lady said, what would you like to do with your life? And I just cried. And I said, I just want to help people. And she said, how about if we get your own house in order first? I like to think about how we went through this phase in the 80s we call the me generation. And we moved into some kind of a application with some more results and outcomes that were all shiny and wonderful in the 90s and so on. That we finally arrived at the we part. We do know enough to not just focus on our own health, our own healing, our own well-being, our own stuff, our own accomplishment, our own success, our own comfort. We have the opportunity and the ability to respond to what is happening around us and do something with that. Jennings says that this is not happening in a different place. It is not happening at a different time. It is not happening to someone else. It's happening here and now to us. So we must be equipped to handle it, to be part of this healing in some way. So I invite you to consider the words of Ernest Holmes when he says, let love point the way and law make the way possible. Let love inspire you as to what you will plant, and let law, the soil, take care of growing whatever that is. This is an exquisite partnership between God and us. This is an exquisite partnership between heaven and earth. And the way that we lift ourselves up and lift each other up is to lift up our gaze and to see the highest within ourselves when we look in the mirror and within each other and in our world. See what is possible. Fix our gaze upon that. Welcome it and allow it to come in as our reality. The time is now. This is it. We are here. Let's do that together. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to shift into the other part of our program where we talk with each other about all of this stuff. And first of all, I want to say thank you again for choosing to be here this morning. I just love knowing that this is a creative, responsive universe that gives to us by corresponding to us. And so as we have expressed our interest in knowing and understanding more and healing more, more has reached toward us and become our reality. Look at us now. So thank you for hearing that call and for choosing to be here on this cold, rainy morning and choosing to be together with us as we explore how we move from me to we with spiritual practice. Thank you.